Hello and welcome to our Discover Love Academy. I am Jacqueline Nichols, the founder, and I'm also a professional matchmaker, and I've brought together the most amazing experts. And so I'm really excited to have this opportunity to bring forward incredible experts that want to support you on your love journey. We are recording this live, and we're excited because we want you to be able to ask questions and learn more. And at the end of the video, you're going to have a chance to submit your feedback so we know what you want us to talk about next time. So as I was collecting these wonderful tips of information from so many great experts, I was so excited because the very first person to jump on this opportunity was actually Nancy-Lynn, our first speaker. So I love people to take action. And we need that in the dating world. You have to learn how to say yes and stop questioning everything. And sometimes you just have to go for it. So I want to introduce you to Nancy-Lynn, our dating coach. And we're going to be talking about so many wonderful things about online dating, communication, and safety when you're meeting people that you've met on the internet. So Nancy-Lynn, can you jump in and tell us about yourself, what inspires you, and what brought you to be a part of our wonderful group?
I've been doing dating coaching just since last November. I've been a business and life coach for a number of years. And before that, actually, my first coaching certification was as a health coach. And I've kind of progressed over the years, and this is just more fun than business coaching. So I kind of fell into this, and I love online dating. It's just something that's worked really well for me, and I like sharing it with other people. So, and I've been doing this a long, long time, as I'll share in my presentation.
You know, Nancy, I love that you have a positive outlook on it, because for so many people, online dating gives them the kind of icks and they're so anti. And I think it's so amazing that there are such wonderful people that have met each other. I have a lot of my own clients that, as much as I want to be their matchmaker for everyone that they meet, I also know that there's a whole nother world out there of possibilities. So learning how to do this in a way that you enjoy it, and the fact that you light up when you talk about it, and the friendships and connections that you've made are really, really powerful. But it's because you've learned how to do it right. I don't think you got it right from the beginning is what I'm thinking you're going to tell us a little bit about. So it took a little bit of time.
I made all of the mistakes. And as I think I can credit this to Jim Rohn, who said, you know, I've made all the mistakes, some of them twice, just to make sure they're mistakes. So
I love that. And that is so true. Sometimes, you know, we got to go, is it actually hot? I think I need to test that again. Oh yeah, I just got burned. Yeah. And it's about really knowing what your boundaries are, what's important to you, what message you're really giving. So I would love for you to just jump in. I know you've created a PowerPoint, and I'm excited for us to kind of follow along, and then we'll add in things. And then anyone that has questions that's watching along with us, you're welcome to type those in, and we're just going to have a good old time here. So go ahead. I know you got to do a little screen share dance there to get it all up there.
I'll pop this on, and I'll just do a little disclaimer first. Once my PowerPoint starts, my voice speeds up, so I will try to remember to take a few breaths and slow down, but feel free to interrupt and slow me down.
Enthusiasm does it to the best of us. I've had to work on it.
And because I make my PowerPoints, I'm actually talking out loud when I'm making them. And so this is just me talking and you singing. So, okay.
Awesome.
Go ahead and share screen here. And I'm gonna jump right in. Okay. And, oh, well, I guess I just sped right through my first slide there. So a little bit about me. I've been dating online for over 20 years, which is kind of hard to believe until you think about, I was actually the first man I met online was through an AOL chat room, which was a long, long time ago. And this was back when we had to mail each other photographs, because you couldn't just easily scan a photograph because our printers didn't have scanners back then. So long time ago. Let's see, back in here. I have made all the mistakes so that you don't have to.
That's good. It would be nice to get a few, like, obstacle course, what to avoid.
Yep. I've learned what works and what doesn't. And again, a lot of this has been through trial and error. But a lot of this has been just through success and honestly having fun with it.
I love that. And it's cute because Brian just said, thank you. And it's so true. It's like, thank you for caring enough to let us know why you have so many scraped knees and, why you hit the wall too many times and things that didn't work, because that's how we really learn the best, when we do it by learning sometimes through other people. So thank you.
And I'm a huge advocate for learning from other people, which is why I love coaching, because we can think that we're doing everything just right, and then somebody comes in and can tweak what we're doing so that we have more success. And that can be in business or with our health, with dating, with anything. Is having an outsider's opinion can just go so far. So a lot of fun with that. And I have met some fabulous men. I've been in 3 longer-term relationships over the last 20 years, a number of short-term relationships. I think with the exception of one man, I'm still friends with every single one of them to some degree. So, I've lost touch over the years, certainly, but anyone that I've dated seriously, I'm still friends with. So it can be a really great way to just make friends too.
Well, and I think that that's the part that people miss so much. They miss out on the layers that come with it. They want the end result. They want the, home run, the grand slam. But the truth of the matter is sometimes you're only supposed to have a friendship with someone, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you giving that permission to our listeners.
And you can be in a relationship with somebody who you really should only be friends with, and you figure that out over time. So yeah, absolutely. And then I'm 53. I've been doing this through my 30s, my 40s, my 50s. So honestly, whatever you are going through, I have been there. And I love sharing my experience with that.
Well, and I love it because Brian just said nobody's perfect. Thank goodness, because I so wouldn't want to be perfect. That would be so boring. So every time it's a bump.
I'd like to test it out. I don't think I could hold it up.
No.
Even if I made it there. So, and then I do have a free PDF for everyone. And it's going to include a lot of information from this presentation and also some detailed information on some of the things that we're going to go over here that we're not going to have time to go into great depth on.
Awesome.
And then also a free 15-20-minute consultation with anyone who just maybe wants to have me look over their profile really quickly, or give them some suggestions about communication, or a lot of times, especially with dating online, we have the same problem over and over again. We either can't get a conversation started, or conversations kind of peter out very quickly. So if someone just wants to talk about that for a few minutes, I'm really happy to hop on the phone with them and do that. So, and you can contact me either through my email address, hello@Nancy-Lynn.com, or through my website. So
awesome. And that's the thing. Sometimes it's just that one little extra nugget, that one little block that people need to move to the next level, because they get stuck, they get stopped. Yeah, and Brian's asking about what about online dating strategies. So yes, and actually she's going to talk a whole ton about those. And that's exactly it, because it's wonderful to maximize each of the opportunities however you meet your person. And online is really a strategic process.
It is. And I'm a firm believer in if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And there have been times where, dating online can be overwhelming and it can be exhausting. Mm-hmm. And there are times that I have just gone in and turned my profiles off and taken, a few weeks off and regrouped. And so it's, whatever works for you, I go for it. So, okay, we're going to start out with online safety. And this is mostly geared towards women, but you guys, you can get some information from this too. And I think this is all really good information to know from both ends.
Well, and to say to that, Nancy-Lynn, is I think it's actually really important for men to know where women are coming from, and women to know where men are coming from, because then they're more aware that there's reasons that these safety steps are put into place. And the more a man can make a woman feel comfortable, the more she's going to be more relaxed on the date, let alone go on the date.
Absolutely. And I've set up some safety features on dates, and I've had men react negatively, and I've ended dates over just that. So it's, it's really important, I think, for both parties to feel safe. And a good place to start is never share your full name with anyone that you have met on the internet until you have met them in person and you feel really comfortable with them. And I used to advocate that men get, or women get a copy of a man's driver's license before they even go out with them. And I don't even do that anymore because I don't think that's safe for the man to have his address out there, because women can be just as dangerous as men in certain circumstances. So safety above all.
Exactly. I mean, the most you could maybe do is say, hey, you know, sometimes I've had people say, hey, just, you know, how old really are you? Let me see your driver's license. I mean, there's kind of a cute way to say it, but you can swap driver's license right there for 2 seconds just to say, oh, your name's on there. That's your picture. But yeah, you don't want their information.
Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Right.
Certainly before I, you know, spend any time at somebody's home or go on, you know, an extended date with them, I have their personal information. So don't tell people where you work at first. You can tell them what you do for a job, of course, but don't tell them where it is you work. Don't share your Facebook page or any other social media with people that you have just met online. A lot of times people will ask for this, and I really advocate against it. I know OkCupid and I think Match.com also have an opportunity for you to share your Instagram account.
Really?
And unless that is totally anonymous, I don't suggest that you share that or anything. And I'll go into more reasons about that.
Know, I'm really glad you're bringing this up because I've brought this up at so many workshops, and I know it's a desire to do kind of a check on someone, look them up. But, you know, as soon as you even you're looking up someone, you don't know the story of those pictures. You don't know the information. And then a lot of times people want to become Facebook friends before they've even started anything. And then they're looking through all your exes, all that. So I'm so glad you bring this up.
That I do not advocate being Facebook friends with anyone.
Thank you.
Even that you're just dating.
Right. I totally agree.
Do not become Facebook friends with them, because when you stop dating them, you either have to unfriend them or things get really awkward. So until you are in a relationship with someone, I would just tell them, you know what, that I don't do this. And also check your Facebook's privacy settings so that strangers can't see everything. And this is also something that I work with people on. So if you need help with that, message me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you're teaching this. I think it is crucial. People keep acting like it's not a big deal. It is a huge deal. We are just too internet based and we have to have boundaries. So thank you very much.
Yep. So phone number. And this is something we're going to go into in a couple of slides, but do not give somebody your real phone number, especially if it's tied to your Facebook account, a business of yours, or if it's a home phone number with your real name listed. Just don't give people your real phone number, and I'll go into what to give them in a few minutes.
You know, people don't realize though that you are so correct. And you know, as Brian's asking, what about someone you've been chatting with for months? And so I want you to answer that, Nancy.
If you've met somebody, certainly and you feel safe with them, absolutely.
But if you're only online, are you referring to only online, or are you referring to someone you've met in person? Because the tricky part about giving your phone number is they can type your phone number right in the message box of the search, and your profile will show up.
Right.
So he's referring to someone you've never met in person, but you're just online chatting.
Do not give him your real phone number.
Not until you meet.
You can do an anonymous phone number or use WhatsApp or Kik if you want to be messaging with them through your phone. Or I'm going to go into another alternative in just a minute. So hold on to that question. It's a good one. All of the things that we've just covered are the reason to not do them is it's a way to track you and your personal information, and even to get your home address.
Absolutely.
Because all of this information is out there. and just Google yourself and your phone number, and all kinds of information is going to come up that you really don't want out there. And there's no way to avoid it at this point. So just be safe. On the flip side, you can also use this information to track other people and make sure that who you're chatting with is who they say they are. Make sure there aren't any arrest warrants out for them. I did chat with a guy who I found out he owns a nightclub, and he lives here in Portland now because he had to leave his previous state because he had been arrested. And I found all of that out through his phone number, and just having his phone number and his first name and his screen name, because his screen name had some personal information in it. So,
oh my goodness, yeah,
really, really informative. You can also often find out if somebody's married or not, and it's also kind of curious. Often through Facebook, you can find that out. So, okay. This pertains to women more than men, although I'd like men to be aware of this also, because there are women out there who have a tendency to attach themselves to somebody a little too quickly. So make sure that you always meet your dates in a public location where you have been before and where you feel safe and comfortable. Always remember where you've parked your car. And if you need to make a quick exit, have a strategy for that. Whether it's explaining that you need to go to the restroom and just leaving, always be safe rather than sorry. I almost always default to politeness. And I've been in 2 situations over the last 20 years where I had to get out of a situation, and I asked for help from the wait staff at the location I was at both times, and just said, please tell the person I had an emergency phone call, but wait 10 minutes. Just because I still felt like I needed to be polite, but get yourself out of a bad situation before it gets bad.
And, this is actually so important, because when a man says to a woman, hey, I want to meet you in a public place that you feel comfortable, that that, maybe it's pick one of your usual places. He's setting herself up to feel good too. So as much as we want the women to be safe and careful, we also love that you're sharing this, Nancy-Lynn, because you're telling these men, this is something you lead with, and a woman is already going to have her guard down, less of that, cautiousness, because she's not having to challenge you.
Yeah. And I love a man who takes charge and who says, hey, we're going to go do this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. But I also explain to men, you know what, this is going to be our first meeting. After our first meeting, I would love for you to take control and set up the second date. But for this first one, do you mind if we meet here? Because I know the location, I'm comfortable there, and I want to be at my best when I meet you the first time.
Exactly.
There are a lot of ways to word this.
Absolutely. And if the woman doesn't want to pick, a man can suggest for her to pick, so she's
Absolutely.
Comfortable.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing, is the communication that you're creating is setting up for success.
Absolutely. Yep. Success, comfort, and, hopefully a match. Mm-hmm. So, make the other person feel good about it. One of my internet pet peeves is people who do not set up a safe call. And this is definitely more directed towards the women in your audience. But I want the men to understand what a safe call is so that they can be supportive when this comes up. As women, we are, for the most part, the weaker sex physically. And if we're going to go on a date with somebody we haven't met before, we're putting a lot of trust in that person. And when you meet with somebody for the first time, especially if you're not 100% sure about who they are, I always advocate having a safe call, which is having a friend or a relative or a service like I offer to check on you on your date. Make sure everything's going well, make sure you're where you say you're going to be, and that you get home safely. And this can just be your best friend. But make sure that you have somebody who knows where you are at all times. I've actually used my mom for this. So just so that somebody checks in. I also have a little system where, let's say I've gone out, I've met somebody 1 or 2 times or more, and I'm going to be going to their home. Either they wanted to make me dinner, or I'm planning to spend the night with somebody at their home, at a hotel, away for a weekend. I have a setup where I have a safe call, and if the person who is calling me or who I'm calling, it can go either direction, knows that if I say everything's great, then it's not. Send somebody, there's a problem. If I say, oh my God, I'm having a terrible time, wish you were here, that's code for everything is fine, we're good. And you can set this up however you're comfortable, but the idea here is if you get yourself in a bad situation, the person who you're with is going to be monitoring your phone call. And if you tell the person at the other end of the phone, everything's great, the person you're with thinks, oh my gosh, they're saying what I want them to be saying, where the person at the other end of the phone knows, hey, there's a problem here. So just a little bait and switch there to make sure that you're safe at all times. And again, some of my background has been dating in the alternative community, and safety is a huge factor there. So just again, make sure better safe than sorry. If you're ever in doubt, set up an extra safe call and make sure somebody knows where you are at all times.
I really, really appreciate you bringing this up, as I actually did this for friends before I became a matchmaker. And it was so important. And it was also so important for my friends to feel good knowing somebody else was out there thinking about them. So they could call, they could check in. And the great part about texting is that, if you know what your code words are, which we had the same thing, was that I could feel comfortable. They could know I was being checked on. I remember my friends calling and giving me all the information they had on some man they were going to meet. And it just gave them an extra sense of awareness. And then I knew I was on duty for that time. And they also had a sense of somebody else knew it. I think the dates behaved better. Like even within my own clientele, they behave better because they know I'm going to be listening.
And it's a really nice little test for your date to find out how they react when you say, you know what, I have to check in with my friend. They know where I am. Or whenever you go to a second location, check in with somebody, tell them where you're going. I've been on the phone with my friends telling that, when I followed a man to another location, giving them his license plate number and the information that I've gotten from him before we changed locations. So just again, so somebody knows where I am at all times.
Absolutely. Good job.
Okay. So this is what I advocate for being in contact with people that you're dating from online. Now, if you meet somebody in a bar or restaurant or through a friend, this really doesn't apply. We're specifically talking about online here. I recommend setting up a Google Mail account so you have a Gmail address that is not tied to your real name. I have an alternative email that's set up under the name Anna Grace. And that way, when I meet somebody online, I give them this particular email address. I tell them it's an anonymous email. But if they want to send me information or more photographs of themselves, that's where they send it to. They don't send it to my personal address.
I like that. And Brian just said it's like having a drone following you. But It's true. Nowadays, we really need to have an extra set of eyes, an extra set of emergency. And if you're really cautious at all, don't go on a date with someone you're not comfortable with. But it's being smart. There's the best of crazy people are out there.
There are a lot of people that I will communicate with for a while and never meet. And I want to be able to give them an email address, or they only have some sketchy photos online. And I'm like, send me a real photograph of yourself, or something recent, or a selfie or something. And so I will give them this email address. And then tied to that email address is a Google Voice phone number. And I am such a fan of Google Voice, I can't even tell you.
Oh, I love it. I agree.
And you tie your Google Voice phone number to your new email address. And Google will now allow you to have more than one Google Voice number tied to the same cell phone.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah, they didn't used to do that. So now what you can do is you can have your totally anonymous email and your anonymous phone number through Google Voice, and you can have it set up through your app so that it rings to your phone. You can also text through your Google Voice number. So I have actually a number of men right now who are texting me who don't even have my phone number. And this is just my favorite app in the whole world.
I think that's so smart. And I'm really glad that you promote it too. It's actually even what I use with work too. But I think it's also very crucial. Yeah, you're like, I got it. Is because of the fact that it also keeps everybody organized by having your own Google account, your Google emails. Because I notice a lot of times people, they use it and then you're getting all these emails in your work email, your personal email, the rest of your life email. You need one that's just for dating and then have the voicemail tied to it. It's so smart.
Which brings me to my other little thing, that dating online is a part-time job. And if it feels like a job and not a hobby, you're not doing it right. But you do have to set time aside to do it. You need to set time aside each week to reply to messages and not just let them build up over weeks. And you need to have a bit of a schedule. It is a little bit of a part-time job, but it can be really fun. And keeping all of your dating emails in the same place and all of your dating phone calls coming through the same phone number, it does make your life a little bit easier. The free PDF that I'm giving out just for emailing me will have all the information that you need to set up both of these. So, okay, and this just goes over, you can add the app to your phone and you can get that all through the PDF. Just email me at hello@Nancy-Lynn.com.
Oh, Brian's got a good question of how much effort did you put out versus the other person? So, you're doing all the behind the scenes stuff, and I know we're probably going to cover it a little bit more, but when you're this is a great question, on when you're communicating with these people, because you've mentioned some of these people that you've talked to for a long time but have never met, when do you kind of say, hey, hold on, this ball is not bouncing back to me?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
When you're doing all the work, trying to keep the person interested, doing all the work to hope for a date, to try to do all the online interaction, and the person's being a bit too passive, they're not really following up.
Oh, okay. That's totally, yeah, we're going to get into that with the communication. Mm-hmm. Right now, at this point, I'm telling everyone how to get set up properly. This isn't necessarily the communication part. So
right. So we'll get to that in a little bit. So wait on that question.
A few slides here and we'll get to that. We're going to start out with profile basics and photographs. Your photograph is, just like when you meet somebody in person, first appearance, first impressions matter. And if you don't have great photographs, you're not going to get great dates. It's just that simple. You want to include at least 3 recent photographs, which I insist must be within the last year. If they're over a year old, they're outdated. Now, if you were on a safari 3 years ago and you have some great photographs, go ahead and include those, but put the date so that people know that those are not recent. Especially for those of us who are over 50, I think it's really important that our pictures are extremely current, because looks can change a lot. If you have a dramatic hairstyle change, lose weight, gain weight, anything, your pictures need to represent who you are today. Make sure photographs are clear. They're not blurred. They're not, women do not purposefully blur your photographs. It does not make you more attractive. It just makes you fuzzy. Your photograph should include 1 headshot, 1 full length or at least knee length shot, and 1 activity or group photo. If you're a runner, get a friend to take a photograph while you're running. If you have a favorite group of friends that you go out wine tasting with, have a photograph of the group of you. That lets people know a couple of things, that you're active, that you have friends, that you're out doing things and you're not just sitting home on the internet. And I think that's really important. The other thing that's super important for men and women is this full length image, because if you just have a headshot, trust me, when you meet somebody, you're worried about what their body looks like. And I have not met anyone who honestly cared if somebody was in perfect shape or not, but they do want to know who it is they're meeting before they meet them. So I don't know. How do you feel about that, Jacqueline?
It's very important. And I do the same thing, headshot, body shot, and an active shot, because they want to see that they're doing things. But also, if it's a group picture, make sure you tell them who the person is, because that's one of the biggest pet peeves. People are like, am I dating, asking the blonde or the brunette, or, is it the mom or the daughter? Everyone starts to look the same. And the important part really is that you have to, as Brian says, you don't want to meet a bowling ball. I have had so many stories of clients that before they hired me, they had been online, and they had people walk up to them and say hi and use their name, and they're like, who are you? And they're like, I'm the person you've been talking to. Nope, you don't look like anything you have displayed. I mean, if you don't love yourself enough to represent yourself, why would somebody else want to? So it is really important to just own your truth, or do what you need to do to build some of your confidence before you go online, because you're still the person going on the date.
Yeah. Yep. And it works both ways.
Yes.
Neither of us want surprises. And I mean, it is such a great compliment when you meet somebody and the first thing they tell you is, oh my gosh, you look just like your photographs, or you look better than your photographs.
Absolutely.
And it's an ego boost, and it also makes you feel good that, hey, I'm representing myself properly.
Well, and I have to say too, is that I have seen so many profiles over the years doing this business, and I get why people want to show themselves at younger stages, but it is so confusing for the person that is meeting you, because there's like, who am I going to actually meet? Not everybody can tell that it's a dated photo. And so you have to just own, if you've aged, you've aged. We all have. Yeah. So owning that information is really, really important. And it also shows that you're putting some effort into this. That's why we do quarterly Capturing You events for people to get pictures taken, get a friend to take your pictures, get out, do something, because you have to represent. I mean, you're still representing yourself online.
I'm going to go even more into that in the next couple of slides. If we'll get there. I'm going to start cracking myself up and you guys won't even know what I'm talking about. As far as profile basics, within your profile, be detailed, be fun. Quirky is good. Quirky makes you stand out. It lets people know that you're not the same old boring. If I read one more profile that says, I'm honest, loyal, and hardworking, if a profile starts out like that, I have no interest. I'm already bored. So be fun and start out your profile with something a little bit offbeat, even if it's an interesting quote or your favorite lyrics from a song. Do something that everybody else isn't doing, and show your personality as early in the profile as possible. Let's see, get detailed about what you like, what makes you excited about life. Don't just say what you love or what you like, but say why you love it, why you like it. Get really into the definition of things, not, it's a bad example because I'm not a runner, but I love running because it makes me feel alive. It makes my lungs hurt. No, okay, I'm not a runner. Anyway, whatever it is that you're passionate about, talk about why you're passionate about it. Maybe tell a story about it, and really get your personality into it. Ask a question, or tell your reader what question they should ask you. The most popular part of my online profile is this sentence that I get a ton of replies on. Ask me about the month I spent in Ireland driving a stick shift on the wrong side of the road. And
I think asking a question is great. And Brian, are you wondering about feelings? I mean, how emotional do you get when you're doing this? Isn't it supposed to be kind of short, fun, and perky and energetic?
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to get too emotional in your profile. You want it to just be light, an easy read for people, but you want your personality to show through. Which will bring us into some of the online profile don'ts. No bathroom selfies or any selfie where you can actually see the camera or the cell phone in the photograph. Those are just no. Don't do it.
Technology makes it a lot easier, and there's nothing like seeing a bathroom selfie with a dirty sink and the seat up and the toilet paper all over, and the soap is empty. I mean, it's like, seriously, look around. What are you selling?
What's behind you? It matters. It really matters.
Yeah. Ew is right.
No, and and what it also does when you have just selfies on your profile, it kind of gives a hint that you don't have any friends, because if you have some friends, you can ask them to take some pictures of you. And I fully advocate that, get a couple of friends together and say, hey, you know what? I know you're dating online too. It's time for some new photographs. Let's do this. And put something on your calendar every 6 or 8 months, get together with your friends and get some new photographs taken, or hire myself or Jacqueline or somebody to set you up with a photographer and get it done. Because I think that my professional photographs have gotten me further than anything written in my profile.
Oh, image is everything. Everyone, you see, what you're drawn to, and then you'll read it.
Absolutely. On your profile, no negativity, no complaining, no whining, no talking about what wrong in past relationships. Don't talk about what you don't want in a relationship. Talk about what you do want. Spin everything in a positive light, because nobody wants to hang out with somebody who's negative. We've all had bad, yucky things happen to us in the past. That's not what we want to focus on.
This is so crucial, just as Brian's saying, picture says 1,000 words. The problem is that people dump their garbage on profiles, and then they wonder why nobody wants to go out. It's like they're trying to prove it doesn't work. So I really appreciate you taking the time to say, stop it.
Yes,
you don't need it. It's not going to help. And so, you're talking about your future, not your past. There's a reason,
And if you're having a really hard time with this, send me a message. I'll get online with you and we'll straighten it out. It's the image is the first thing people see about us. And then if they like the image, they're going to read the profile. If they like the profile, they'll message us, especially if there's an invitation to message us in it. But you've got to have those things set up. Basically, your photograph, the only reason for your photograph is to get people to read your profile. The only reason to get people to read your profile is to message you. You don't want to include enough information in your profile so that somebody knows if they want to marry you or not. That is not relevant. All you want to do in your profile is get them to message you so you can start a conversation. Each step of the way, just one step.
Yeah, and it's not, you're asking if it's about being a mystery, and it's really more about layering. You just don't need everything all at once. You just have to, a layer, get a connection, then another layer, get a connection. If you just dump it all out, I mean, just like, we're not talking about specifically on what to do on a first date, but it's that same mentality. If you dump so much, your profile is so long. I've had multiple clients I've had to say, you need to drop that down to a third or a quarter. Nobody wants to read all that about you. They don't care enough about you to read that much information.
Yep, not yet. Not yet. And most of that information should be shared verbally. And basically your profile is just there to get them to message you. Once they start messaging you, then your communication skills come into play. So, and this is where I'm going over the no outdated photos, picture over a year old, get a new one taken. No, it's not cute to include a photograph of yourself as a kid. Another pet peeve of mine are, men my age are losing their hair. And for them to include a photograph from 20 years ago when they had hair, that doesn't tell me anything other than, maybe I would have wanted to know you then, but not now. It's just not relevant. So make sure you're not doing that. The other thing is no white lies, no half truths, be authentic, be you. If you don't have a college education, don't say that you do. If you look younger than your years and you want to put a younger age on your profile, don't do it. Be as honest as possible, because if you make a connection with someone and then you have to come back at them later and say, well, I don't really have a college degree, and, I'm 53, I'm not 45. They're not going to be interested anymore because they can't trust you. So don't even go there. Online communication. This is my favorite part about online dating. The pictures, the profile, all of that can be easily set up. But the best part about all of this is communicating. And if you can get really good at communicating, you can get really good at dating. And this is where it gets really fun. Don't hesitate to be the first one to message someone. If you find them attractive or interesting, send them a message. Let them know what it is that you find appealing about them. Don't ever just message somebody and say hi, or hey, or I like your profile. Tell them why. Give them a good reason. And comment on their profile with a question. A couple of examples. I too love Shakespeare. Have you spent any time in Ashland? Either they have, or they want to know what Ashland is. So it's an opening to start a conversation. I just love the photograph with you on a motorcycle. When can you take me for a ride? That's fun and flirty, and it brings in one of their interests and lets them know, hey, you're interested too. One of my things with this was I have a Vespa scooter, and I'm not really into motorcycles, but I've messaged a couple of men who were and just said, hey, when do you want to take me for a ride? I have my own helmet. It just anything fun and flirty that you can do that makes a connection and asks a question. I am so glad you're writing this out, because just drives me bonkers with, hey, you're cute. You have to make a connection. There has to be something. And the amount of people that have missed connecting because of, you look lazy if you can't write something. You look like, that profile is just another one going through the list. So thank you. It looks like you're just spamming everybody.
Yep, exactly. Lazy.
And I know a lot
make
of
a connection.
Yeah. And they're also, I get a lot of form letters. They say, oh, I just love your smile, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there's nothing that says that they even read my profile.
Well, especially when they resend it a week later as if it's the first time.
Yes.
That's when you know it's a form letter. It's like, you can't do that. And if you're too busy to write a personal, and I know that feels like with online dating, you want to just massively attack with how many messages, really select the people. Granted, there's not a guarantee they're going to respond, but your chances are better if you treat each person like they're an individual. So you're writing this out as such a wonderful example of very important steps to take. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, been there, done that. So be cute and clever. Take your time responding with something of interest. Never just tell somebody what you like about them without asking a question. My biggest thing is never end a text or a message or an email without at least one relevant question at the end, so that keeps the conversation going. And it can't be a yes or no question, something that's actually going to take some thought. Otherwise, you've essentially killed the conversation. If somebody says to you, I love your profile, when was it you were in Ireland? I write back to them, and if I don't ask them a question back, I have essentially killed the conversation. Oh, I was in Ireland 3 years ago. Well, if I don't read their profile and ask something back, that's usually the end of it. Unless they are really interested and they're going to work at it. And you don't want to have to make somebody work at communicating with you.
Exactly. And I appreciate this. This is, from the earlier question about communication, bouncing that ball. If they're never really asking a question back, chances are they're probably not that interested, and they're just answering yours and leaving it. So this is a great example of where you kind of need to let it go with somebody if you're not feeling them engaging.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And just reiterating, quickest way to kill a conversation is don't ask a question. And be truly interested in people. Read their profile. If you find them attractive and their profile is intelligent, dig deep into their profile and ask them questions. If they say they have kids, ask how old their kids are. Ask if they're still in school. Ask how often they have their kids. If you're of an age where you want to have children and somebody's talking about their nieces and nephews, talk about, hey, how often do you get to spend time with your nieces and nephews, and really dig into what makes them tick and what makes them excited, because then you can get a real conversation going when you switch to phone or in person. And we're just coming to the end here. We're just offering you again complimentary consultation. We can talk about your profile online. We can talk about, if you're not online, we can talk about which sites you might want to get started with, depending on what your goals are, what your age is, how comfortable you are with the whole dating process. We can talk more about communication techniques. If you're online dating and you're messaging a lot of people and you're not getting a lot of replies, we can talk about some communication techniques that will help you get more replies. If you're going on some dates, but you don't seem to be getting a lot of second dates, we could talk about what could be going wrong there too. Because once the communication starts, honestly, that's the fun part. And that's the part where you can get really, really good at this and give yourself a whole lot more options.
Fantastic. Well, this is perfect because we are just about out of time. I was just about to give you a warning. Like, hey, we're almost done. I love it. I love it when it all fits in just right. So what would you like to say to wrap up this great conversation? It means so much to me as a love advocate for so many people for so many years to genuinely see you giving this option to people. People need this and they need to have the next step. So go ahead, Nancy. I was going to say you can opt out of your share screen thing if you want to end out of that, so it's not just sitting there. And we will go back to you, seeing you on there.
Maybe or maybe not. I don't know how to get myself back up here. Maybe not. I have lost that part of the screen here.
All right, let me see if I can.
Here we go.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Want to make it a little bit easier so that you can free your screen up. So one of the most important things about dating is being prepared to be successful, to having the tools necessary to move yourself forward in the right direction. So what you've laid out is very important beginning steps. And every quarter we're going to get together and talk about more steps. And so this is where all the great feedback comes when people fill out the form after the video to let us know what you learned the most about and what you would like to learn more for the next time. So on that note, as we wrap up, Nancy-Lynn, what would you like to say to send our wonderful listeners on their way to having more success and way more fun with online dating? Because there's so many cool people to meet.
Just look at it as fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And reach out for some help. I'm here. I have other friends who do this, and we want to make it fun for you, and we want to help you find the right person for you. And it's a lengthy process, and it is something that we have to get good at. And I don't want it to take 20 years for you to get good at it. So reach out.
Awesome. And I agree that once people get the shift in perspective and realize that this can be a fun process, this doesn't have to be arduous and exhausting. It can be something where people are enjoying it, they're learning, and the friendships that you build, the follow-up. I love following up with people that my clients have met and relationships that have grown because of being part of such a great journey. So thank you again. Thanks for everybody that's listening in. And I really am excited because I can see that with all of the tools, someone can feel more confident, have more clarity, and more focus. It is going to bring so much more fun in the journey. And then they can actually be prepared. And this was a wonderful talk for men and women to listen to really understand where both people are coming from and how to set the other person up to feel more confident in the process. So thank you very, very much. And we look forward to what you have to share next time.
Absolutely.